James Taylor did his chances of being picked for the England one-day squad this weekend no harm at all, scoring 127 as Leicestershire's match with Glamorgan at Colwyn Bay is nicely set up for a run chase on the final day. The third day began with Leicestershire still in a bit of trouble on 140 for 4, trailing on first innings by 252 runs. Taylor had played defensively and scoring 34, and he looked to bat on for a long time, while his partner, Wayne White, scored the boundary he needed to get to his half-century. He'd reached that off 80 balls in an hour and a half with 5 fours and 3 sixes off the spinners. He was the first to go on this day for 54, as he was trapped in front by James Harris for his 4th wicket of the innings. White fell with a total on 160 for 5, meaning that Leicestershire still needed 83 more runs to avoid the follow-on. Taylor was to make sure that that didn't happen, but first he reached his patient 50 from his 150th delivery. The 21-year-old has moved ahead of the rest this season as the next man to push himself into the England fold. He was superb in captaining the England Lions in the last few weeks, scoring 2 one-day hundreds and a couple of big half-centuries in the longer game. Like a number of those in the England side currently, he loves batting for long periods and has the ability and technique to do so. Paul Dixie is actually 2 years older than Taylor, but doesn't have anything like his experience in the first-class game, but he did his part just as well here to ensure that that follow-on was soon out of the question. This was only his 4th LV County Championship match of the summer, and he was making the most of his opportunity. Not only does Taylor have the ability to battle it out, but he also has all the shots, although when he tried to take on Robert Croft, he nearly found long on, the ball just having enough behind it to carry for 6 through the fielder's hands. By lunch, Leicestershire had reached 230 for 5, and this 4 from Taylor meant that Glamorgan would be batting next, something which hadn't really been in doubt for a while. So now it was just about how close they would get to Glamorgan's total of 392. Dixie, meanwhile, was closing in on his own personal milestone. His half-century was a good one, and he got there with his 8th 4 from his 95th ball. It was an important knock from the wicket-keeper, for whom this was his 2nd 50 of the season. Like White before him, he couldn't go on. 2 balls after reaching his half-century, he edged Harris behind to the 2nd new ball to give the Lions bowler his 5th wicket, the 3rd time he's managed that in only 9 matches this summer. His one disappointment would have been that he couldn't dislodge Taylor, who he batted with for the Lions earlier on in the week. Taylor made 100 on that occasion, and he was now close to getting his 3rd in the last week. This, though, was his 1st in the LV County Championship this summer, and he got the necessary runs to take him there off Harris. It was a special knock again from Taylor, who's hit a rich vein of form in the last month, which has simply confirmed everybody's trust in him. This one had taken him nearly 5.5 hours. With that job done and Leicestershire looking to open up this game with a declaration, Taylor opened up his innings a bit, finding the boundary to anything short or over pitch from the Glamorgan attack. Having spent so much time batting in the last week, he must have been seeing the ball as if it was the size of Swansea by now. Jigger-Nake had kept him company for a while before he gave debutant Nick James a wicket in his only over of Championship cricket. That was a nice moment for him. The declaration soon followed, with Leicestershire on 309 for 7, 83 runs behind, with Taylor undefeated on 127, made in just less than 6 hours, with Harris ending with figures of 5 for 45. It was a positive move from Matthew Hoggard, which gave him and his fellow bowlers the chance of picking up a wicket before tea with the new ball. And after Gareth Rees and Alvaro Peterson had opened up with a stand of 25, the Glamorgan skipper Peterson edged a slash off Nathan Buck to a diving Dixie. With 2 failures in this game, Peterson still needs 22 more runs for his 1,000 in the Championship this summer. Then to the 3rd ball after tea, Rees was given out caught behind off a leg side ball from White. The batsman was clearly not at all happy and had some words to say as he dragged himself off the pitch, having made 11. That was soon forgotten by those still on the pitch, including Will Bragg, who tried to get his side back on course. And he'd been joined by Stuart Walters, who decided to play a few shots. The former Surrey player enjoyed his battle with White, who he took on with gusto, especially when the bowler dropped in too short. Twice Walters pulled in for sixes, both excellent strokes with a lot behind them. He'd made sure that Glamorgan weren't blown away in their second innings, and he'd helped the total to 105 when he went for another big shot, but holed out off Nake to Greg Smith. He was cross with himself too, leaving the field on 36. The one man who did make the most of his innings was Bragg, who was still there at the close, having gone past 50 for the 7th time this summer. He's yet to convert any of those into 100, but will get his chance to do that on the last day. Glamorgan lost James before the close for 10, which means that they'll resume on day 4 on 146 for 4, with Bragg on 67 made from 104 balls. That gives the home side a lead of 229 runs, and Peterson will want to be a little more generous than he was to Essex in their last game. A quick blast in the morning session should set up the game very nicely for the final couple of sessions.